So there I was, blue and glowing and standing on Mars, and honestly, I couldn't remember why I came. Okay, let me back up, because that sentence probably needs some context, and also because time doesn't really work for me in the normal order anymore. So a while back, I was a regular guy, John Osterman, nice enough, kind of quiet, decent with watches. My dad fixed watches. I was going to fix watches too, until my dad read about the atom bomb in the newspaper and decided I should be a physicist instead, just like that. Threw my little watch gears out the window, great parenting. Anyway, I became a physicist, and then, because life is a series of doors closing behind you at exactly the wrong moment, I walked into an experimental test chamber to grab a lady's jacket. Her name was Janie. I liked her. I went in to grab her watch, actually, which she'd left inside. And the door locked and the machine turned on, and and I want to stress this is the technical term, completely disassembled at the atomic level. So that's how the watch thing comes full circle. My dad throws away my watch gears. I die trying to get a watch. The universe has a sense of humor, and it's mostly about watches, and then I came back. Piece by piece, except now I was blue and glowing, and I could feel every atom in the room like it was a note in a chord. And here's the weird part. Here's the part nobody warns you about. I stopped experiencing time in a line. Okay, so imagine you're watching a movie. Normal person watches it front to back. You don't know what happens next, so you get excited, you get nervous, you eat the popcorn. Now imagine somebody handed you the entire film reel all at once, every frame spread out on a giant table, and you can see the beginning and the ending and the boring middle part all at the same time. That's my life now. I'm at my own birthday party and my own funeral simultaneously, which, by the way, ruins surprise parties. You cannot surprise me. I've been to it. I'm at it right now. Thanks, everyone. The cake was fine. So back to Mars. I'm standing on Mars. The sunlight is warm on the surface in this pale, thin way that's genuinely lovely. And I can feel the dust shifting. And somewhere, a star I'll never mention to anyone is collapsing into itself in perfect silence. And at the same exact moment, I'm also in that laboratory in 1959 watching the door lock. And I'm also watching Lori walk away from me. Lori. Okay. Lori's my girlfriend, was my girlfriend, is my girlfriend. See, this is the problem. I can't do tenses anymore. They've all collapsed into one big soup. Lori and I were together for years. And things were, let's say, strained. Because it's genuinely hard to date a guy who already knows how every conversation is going to end. You go, honey, we need to talk. And I go, yes, I know, you're leaving me. You say it in about 4 minutes and you cry a little. And I say something that makes it worse. That does not help. For the record, if you ever meet somebody like me, do not do that. So Lori left. And I did the extremely mature, well-adjusted thing that anyone would do after a breakup. I teleported to Mars. I built myself a giant glass palace out of the Martian sand. Just, willed it into being atom by atom because I can do that. It's a whole crystal structure, very impressive, very lonely. I basically made the world's most elaborate I need space and then went to actual space to be in it. My therapist, if I had one, would have a field day. I don't have a therapist. I have the entire timeline of existence, and somehow that's worse. And here's what I was doing up there. I was thinking about whether human life meant anything. Big topic, I know. But you have to understand, when you can see every atom, when you can watch galaxies drift and neutrons dance and a person's whole life laid out flat, people start to look kind of small. Like intricate little clouds of particles that hold together for a few decades and then puff apart. And I was up there going, why do I care about any of these little clouds? Why does one specific cloud named Lori make my chest feel weird when I know for a scientific fact she's just organized energy that'll disperse eventually like everybody else? So I decided in my great cosmic wisdom that humanity was nothing special. A thermodynamic accident. Not worth my time. I would stay on Mars in my sad glass palace forever, feeling nothing, being very smart about it. And then Lori showed up. I brought her, technically, teleported her all the way to Mars to explain to her once and for all why I no longer cared about human beings, which, again, is a wild thing to do. If you don't care about someone, you generally do not drag them across 40 million miles of vacuum to explain the specifics. But sure, consistency has never been my strong suit. So we're standing in the palace, and she can't breathe, so I make her a little bubble of air, because even the coldest, most detached godlike being still doesn't want his ex to suffocate. Basic manners. And I tell her. I lay it all out. Humanity is meaningless. Life is a mechanical inevitability. Nothing anyone does matters because it was all always going to happen exactly the way it happens. Determinism, baby. We're all clockwork. The gears turn whether you want them to or not. And she's arguing with me. And I'm winning. Obviously, I'm winning. I can see the whole conversation. I know I win. Except. And this is the turn. This is the part I did not see coming, and I want you to appreciate how insane that sentence is, because I see everything coming. I am the guy who ruins surprise parties. I do not get surprised, ever. I got surprised. Now, because Lori, arguing for her own life, digging through her own memories to prove to me that people matter, stumbles on to something about her past, about who her father actually was, and it's this horrible, tangled, deeply unlikely thing. Her mother, a man she hated, a moment of forgiveness, a whole chain of events that never should have connected, and yet they did. And out of all that ugliness and coincidence and improbability came her. She came from a mistake, from the worst possible combination of circumstances. The odds against her existing against that specific cloud of particles named Lori forming it all were basically infinite. And I'm standing there, and it hits me. That's the miracle. Not that life is inevitable, that it's not. That against all the odds, against the entire cold, indifferent universe, this one unlikely person exists at all. That, out of a billion things going wrong, something went so improbably right that a whole thinking, feeling human being showed up on Mars to yell at her blue ex-boyfriend. I called it thermodynamic mercy, which sounds fancy, but it just means the odds were absurd, and it happened anyway. And I felt for the first time in a long time something. Wonder. Actual honest wonder. The kind I hadn't felt since I was a kid, holding a watch spring up to the light. Here's the thing that gets me, though. Here's the punchline underneath the punchline. I could see the entire conversation the whole time. I knew every word Lori was going to say. I'd already been standing in that palace, having that exact talk, feeling that exact feeling of surprise, which means the surprise itself was always coming. I was always going to be shocked. It was written into the timeline that I would be blindsided. Think about that for a second. The universe built me a surprise party I could see coming, and it still got me. I knew I'd be amazed, and I was amazed anyway, and knowing didn't make it any smaller. The gears turned exactly the way they were always going to turn, and one of those gears was me, standing in a glass palace going, oh. So I changed my mind. Right there. I decided humanity was worth caring about after all. All those little particle clouds holding together for a few decades, doing impossible, unlikely things like loving each other and forgiving each other and existing at all. I decided to go back, and that's basically the whole story. Guy dies. Guy becomes a glowing blue physics god. Guy can see all of time at once and uses this incredible cosmic gift to have a really rough breakup and move to Mars to sulk. Guy gets talked out of it by his ex-girlfriend in the middle of a surface temperature that would kill a normal human instantly. I want to be clear about something. I still see all of time at once. My dad is still throwing away my watch gears right now. The test chamber door is still locking right now. Lori is still walking away, and Lori is still standing in the palace convincing me. The walking away meant something. It's all happening. All of it. Forever at the same time in one big flat spread of every moment I've ever had and ever will have. And I've decided that's okay. Because here's what I figured out on Mars, and I'll leave you with it. Knowing the ending doesn't ruin the story. I know exactly how everything goes, every last atom of it, and it still knocked me flat. Turns out you can see the whole film reel spread out on the table, every single frame at once, and one of those frames can still make you cry. So no, I can't be surprised, except for that one time. And honestly, that was enough.